You talk to yourself more than you talk to anyone else on Earth. Estimates put it at roughly 40,000 thoughts per day, and most of them sound like a roommate you'd never willingly choose. That rumming commentary, the one narrating your commute, replaying arguments, rehearsing disasters, is doing more to shape your brain than any 20-minute meditation session ever could. And the uncomfortable part is that you've been treating it like background noise. Consider what meditation actually involves. You sit down, you focus on your breath, you notice thoughts drifting in, and you let them pass. For 10, maybe 20 minutes, you practice a kind of mental hygiene. Then you stand up, walk into your kitchen, and immediately start telling yourself you're behind on everything. That the email you sent last night was stupid, that you'll probably mess up the presentation on Thursday. The meditation was a curated window. The self-talk is the rest of the building. Researchers at the University of Michigan found that the way people refer to themselves during inner speech changes how they process stress. Subjects who use their own name, Sarah, you've handled this before, showed measurably different stress responses than those who used I. The distance created by a single pronoun shift altered how the brain processed threat. One word, a different frame, a different biochemical cascade, and this wasn't during meditation, this was during the messy, unstructured chatter that fills a Tuesday afternoon. So why does the fitness industry of the mind keep selling you on the seated session? Meditation has a clean package. It has apps with progress streaks, it has a timer you can screenshot. The inner monologue has none of that. You can't track it, you can't gamify it. And because you can't measure it easily, the wellness world treats it like it doesn't exist. But the sheer volume tells a different story. 20 minutes of mindfulness versus 16 waking hours of unchecked narration. The math alone should make you uneasy. Think about the last time you lay in bed unable to sleep. The body was still, the room was dark, everything was optimized for rest. But the voice kept going. It was running projections, tabulating regrets, drafting conversations you'll never have. That voice had more influence over your sleep quality than your mattress, your blackout curtains, and your magnesium supplement combined. You already know this from experience, you just haven't framed it as the central problem. Psychologists use the term inner speech to describe this phenomenon, and the research around it has accelerated in the last decade. One study out of the University of Nevada tracked participants' emotional states against the content of their self-talk across multiple weeks. The correlation between negative inner speech and sustained low mood was stronger than the correlation between external stressful events and that same low mood. Read that comparison again. What you say to yourself predicted your emotional state more reliably than what actually happened to you. The mechanism behind this is straightforward. Your brain processes self-directed speech through many of the same channels it uses for external speech. When someone criticizes you out loud, your body responds. Heart rate shifts, muscles tense. When you criticize yourself silently, the response is dampened, but it still fires. And it fires thousands of times per day, below the threshold of conscious attention. A single harsh comment from a stranger might ruin an hour. A harsh inner monologue ruins years, in increments so small you attribute the damage to something else entirely. Here's where meditation advocates would push back unfairly. A consistent meditation practice does build the skill of noticing thoughts without reacting. That's genuine, and the evidence supports it. But the skill of noticing is only useful if you deploy it during the other 15 hours and 40 minutes. Most people treat meditation like a vaccine. Do the session, get the protection, move on. The actual benefit lives in the transfer, and transfer, according to the research, is the part most practitioners skip. Dr. Ethan Kross at Michigan, the same researcher behind the pronoun study, describes self-talk as the brain's internal working tool. It's how you plan, evaluate, and regulate. When the tool is calibrated well, specific, second person, action-oriented, it functions like a coach. When it's uncalibrated, it functions like a prosecutor building a case against you with unlimited subpoena power. The quality of the tool determines the quality of everything downstream: your decisions, your resilience, your capacity to stay engaged when things get tedious or painful. And the calibration happens in moments most people ignore. Waiting in line at the grocery store, sitting in traffic, walking between meetings. Those dead zones are where the monologue runs loudest because there's no task demanding your attention. The voice fills the vacuum. If you've spent no effort shaping what fills that vacuum, you're outsourcing your mental environment to whatever habit loop was installed earliest. For most people, that loop was installed by childhood, by criticism absorbed before they had any framework to evaluate it. This is where the practical difference becomes stark. Meditation teaches you to observe. Directed self-talk teaches you to intervene. One is a mirror, the other is a steering wheel. Both matter. But if you had to pick one, and time constraints mean most people functionally do, the steering wheel changes your trajectory. The intervention is deceptively simple. You catch the inner sentence midstream, you notice its tone, and you reconstruct it with distance and specificity. "I'm going to fail" becomes "you've prepared for 6 of the 8 sections." Focus on the 2 you haven't. The content changes, the pronoun changes, the vagueness collapses into something actionable. The catastrophic story becomes a task list. And over weeks, the default voice starts shifting, because brains learn from repetition and you repeat inner speech more than any other behavior you perform. Athletes have known this for decades. Sports psychologists don't tell Olympic sprinters to meditate before a race and hope the calm transfers to the blocks. They script specific self-talk cues for specific moments. Drive through the first 30 meters, stay patient at 60, attack at 80. The language is precise, physical, timed to the context. The athlete rehearses the inner dialogue until it becomes automatic. The meditation might help with pre-race anxiety. The self-talk runs the race. A common objection sounds like this: positive self-talk feels fake. I'm just lying to myself. Fair point, and worth addressing honestly. Forced positivity does feel hollow, because it is. Telling yourself everything is great when you're drowning in deadlines doesn't convince any part of your brain. The alternative is instructional self-talk rather than affirmational. You're giving yourself directions, specifics, next steps. Open the document, start with the section you know best. Write for 20 minutes. There's nothing to believe or disbelieve in a set of instructions. You're bypassing the credibility problem entirely. The 20-minute meditation session has value. Genuine, measurable value. Nobody serious disputes that. But it occupies a fraction of your waking life, and during the vast remainder, a voice is running that most people have never consciously edited. You wouldn't let a stranger follow you around all day whispering that you're falling behind, that you're not qualified, that the other shoe is about to drop. Yet the internal version of that stranger has been on your payroll since childhood, and you've never once reviewed their performance. You've probably noticed something on days when the inner voice happens to be quieter or kinder. Everything moves easier, decisions come faster, small setbacks stay small. You attributed it to a good night's sleep, or coffee, or luck. The variable that actually shifted was the narrator. The meditation cushion is a practice room. The rest of your day is the performance. And right now, most people are warming up beautifully for a show they never actually play. The monologue is already running. It's been running since you woke up this morning. The only question is whether you're the one writing the script, or just reading whatever shows up on the prompter.